All right, let's jump right in. We're going to talk about a single daily drink that could help unclog your arteries. And we're not just talking about symptoms here. We're talking about tackling the real root cause, something that, your standard checkup might be missing completely.
So here's what we're going to cover. First, we'll look at where the problem actually starts inside your arteries. Then, we'll trace the chain reaction that leads to all that plaque buildup. After that, we're going to uncover a root cause that might really surprise you, introduce you to something I love to call exercise in a cup, and then, of course, give you the recipe so you can make it yourself. Sound good? Let's do it.
Okay, so if we really want to get to the bottom of clogged arteries, we've got to start at square one. And square one is this incredibly delicate single layer of cells that lines the inside of every single one of your blood vessels.
And right here, this is the key. You hear so much about high cholesterol, right? But that's not the real starting pistol. The actual beginning of the problem is something called endothelial damage. It's when that single protective layer of cells gets hurt. Once that happens, well, it kicks off a whole chain reaction of bad stuff.
So let's talk about that chain reaction. As soon as that inner lining gets damaged, your body, of course, rushes in to try and fix it. But the way it fixes it, well, that's what ends up causing the clog in the first place.
Here's basically how it goes down. Step 1, you get that initial damage. That immediately triggers inflammation. Now, here's the part that's kind of wild. The plaque itself, that stuff made of calcium and cholesterol, it's not the villain, not really. It's actually your body's version of a Band-Aid trying to patch up the inflammation. But, and this is a huge but, in the process, your body stops producing enough of something absolutely crucial, nitric oxide. And without that, your arteries start getting stiff and rigid.
Losing nitric oxide is a massive deal. Think of it like this. Nitric oxide is what tells your arteries to chill out, to relax, and open up so blood can flow easily. It's a natural vasodilator. So when you don't have enough, your blood pressure starts to creep up. The inflammation actually gets worse, and your risk of blood clots just skyrockets. And that's terrifying because get this, about 90% of heart attacks involve a blood clot.
So the big question is, what's causing all this damage in the first place? For decades, we've all been told to watch our dietary cholesterol, right? But the research we're looking at today points the finger at a completely different culprit, and it's something that most of us are eating in huge amounts every single day.
Okay, to really understand this, let's set a baseline. Picture all the blood in your entire body, right now. The total amount of sugar that should be floating around in there at any given time is just 1 teaspoon. That's it. That's the perfect balance your body is designed to handle. Now, hold that number in your head, 1 teaspoon, because the average person today is consuming somewhere between 50 and 100 teaspoons of sugar every day. And a lot of that comes from things you don't even think of as sugar, like refined carbs and starches. The gap between what our body is built for and what we're giving it, it's just staggering.
So why is this such a disaster for our arteries? Well, think of sugar in your blood like rust. It's corrosive. It literally damages that delicate inner lining of your arteries. It's so toxic, in fact, that your body treats it like a 4-alarm fire. It floods your system with insulin, which acts like this giant, powerful vacuum cleaner, just desperately trying to suck all that excess sugar out of the blood as fast as it possibly can. And it's that constant state of emergency, day in and day out, that's causing the initial damage.
Okay, so if this sugar overload is the problem, is there a solution? You bet. This is where we get to the good stuff. A really simple daily drink that can actually help start reversing this whole process. People have even started calling it exercise in a cup.
The magic ingredient here is raw cacao powder. And listen, this is really important. We're talking about cacao, C-A-C-A-O, not the regular roasted cocoa powder you make hot chocolate with. The raw stuff is absolutely loaded with these amazing plant compounds called flavonols. And studies have shown that these flavonols can kickstart an increase in blood flow that's almost identical to what you'd get from going for a brisk walk or a light jog. How? By telling your body to start making more of that crucial nitric oxide again.
It's interesting to compare cacao to something like beetroot powder, which a lot of people use to boost nitric oxide. They both work, but in totally different ways. Beetroot basically just gives your body a direct dose of nitric oxide. Cacao, on the other hand, it's different. It actually stimulates your own body to make more nitric oxide on its own. It's like it's reteaching your arteries how to do their job properly.
And the results from this can be pretty mind-blowing. There was this one study where people aged 50 to 80 had this high flavonol cacao every day. And get this, after just 2 weeks, 14 days, the thickness and flexibility of their arteries started to look like the arteries of people who are 20 or even 30 years younger. I mean, that is an absolutely incredible anti-aging effect for your cardiovascular system.
And it doesn't even stop there. We're talking about actively reversing that stiffness, making your arteries more flexible again. And these effects are cumulative, which means the longer you do it, the better it gets. Plus, this isn't just about your heart. When you improve blood flow everywhere, your brain loves it, your skin loves it, pretty much your whole body benefits.
All right, so you're probably thinking, this sounds great, but how do I actually do it? Let's get right into the super simple recipe so you can put this all into action.
Okay, it seriously couldn't be easier. First, you need a good quality organic raw cacao powder. Now, the most important part is this. Mix it with warm water, not boiling. If the water's too hot, you can actually destroy some of the good stuff in there. Now, if you want to supercharge it, you can add an optional scoop of beetroot juice powder for that 1-2 punch we talked about. And maybe a tiny pinch of sea salt or some magnesium, which are also great for your heart.
Okay, and one last thing. This is a really important tip, especially if you're a coffee drinker. Caffeine does the exact opposite of what we want. It's a vasoconstrictor, meaning it tightens up your blood vessels. So you don't want to drink your cacao and then immediately have a coffee, because they'll just cancel each other out. The trick is to have this drink at least 2 hours before or 2 hours after your coffee to get the full benefit.
So there you have it. We've traced the entire problem, from the damage caused by sugar all the way to a simple, powerful, natural solution in raw cacao. Which really just leaves us with one final thought, doesn't it?